Welcome to my ALH engine standalone harness that is going to be able to be used with cruise control as well as deleting the EGR and the ASV and a few other components. I'm going to be showing how to hook it up with relays and how to combine the stock truck wiring harness and the ALH harness to make a system that is actually functional. And to get started, we're going to take a look at what I've deleted along the way on the Ford harness, and then we're going to jump right into the TDI standalone harness. So this is the entire harness here on the car side of the Volkswagen, and as you can see, once you get this pulled out of the car, I'm not going to show you how to do that because obviously I already done it, but you should be able to figure that out. There's a lot of stuff you don't need, but for me, just to be safe, I took everything. The only thing that maybe I didn't take was a few little sections there at the back of the car for the tail lights and a couple of different things, trunk latch or whatever. So this is the harness here. This is not including the motor harness. It's still on the motor actually. The first step, de-illuming it, and that basically means you got to uncoil this and make these wires exposed. And so that's what I'm going to start by doing, getting all this coating here off everything so you can see it all right in front of you. I have just finished deluming the Ford Ranger engine wiring harness. Just started to snip some things. I pulled this one off here, and it is what I believe to be the knock sensor, and we're obviously not going to be using that. Okay, so I just deleted this. Here is the throttle position sensor. Just deleted that. There's one wire that's going out to your main harness in the cab of the truck, and it splices in here and goes over to your ECU or ECM or whatever. The other one was just a common wire that I cut off somewhere. It's the gray and red. Here it is here. I've just cut these here 6 wires are the returns on the fuel injectors, so they're there, and then there's still a common, which is this red one here, and I'm gonna cut that back here in a minute. Okay, so I just cut the common off all those sensors here, and this here is obviously the injector plugs and a couple other things there. There's that. It came to this common point here where I'm assuming it was probably maybe switched. I'm not 100% sure. My diagram unfortunately doesn't tell me, but I'm wondering if this is what powers up the ECU as well, because I don't see any other large wires here. So I have a feeling this probably is power onto the ECU. So that's probably gonna have to be left alone. Obviously that'll have to be respliced, but that is what I did with that. Okay, I just deleted this here. This is the mass airflow sensor. There's that red common there. There's a ground or whatever. It goes back to the ECM. There's one of these gray red commons, and we have 3 other wires that just go back to the ECM. Don't need that. Okay, so I've just learned that there's 2 temperature sensors for the coolant on this. One is a sender, which is for the for the gauge cluster, which is this guy right here, which is the black and white and the red and white. This here is the sensor, and this is for the computer. So we don't need that. What we need is the one for the gauge on the dash. Okay, O2 sensor delete. You have 2 wires that are returns that go back to the ECU right there, and then here's one of the banks. This is one of the main sensors. you have two common wires. One is a gray red and one is a blue purple, or a blue orange. There's a splice here. This is like a common for that. So there's that, and then there's going to be another O2 sensor down there on the same deal. It's going to have, this is for your catalytic converter side. It's got the two commons right there, oops, right there, and then these two are going to go back to the ECU. Then we have one more, which is right here, and this here is a common, this is a common, and these go back to the ECU. Okay, so now what we're looking at is this here is the speed sensor for the dash. This here normally would have a plug on it, but I actually broke it off when I took the harness out. Don't ask me how, but I pulled it right out of the connector. So here it is here, and this is going to be your dark blue and yellow. And there's another sensor here, which is the ISS, which is that right there. And I can't seem to find any information online about what it's for, so I'm just going to delete it for now. I don't believe it's going to affect my sensors at all. So what else? This is for the automatic transmission. However, it also is for neutral and indicator for what gear you're in and all that. And I'm swapping in a manual transmission, so I'm not going to need most of this. However, I'm going to trick the ECU into thinking that it's in neutral somehow with one of these wires splicing together, I would guess. And I'm going to do that so that I can get 4 low to work as proper in the truck, because it won't let you actually put it into 4 low unless it thinks it's in neutral. So we're going to have to play with that. And also reverse lights. I'm thinking there's going to be a wire in here that has something to do with when it goes into reverse. Somewheres I have this, yeah, right here. Anyway, I got to figure out which wire it is that indicates reverse. And I'm going to use that wire to splice in the connector for the manual transmission. I just deleted this here wire. This went to the capacitor for the start in the coil pack. It went right here directly to the coil pack in the other wire. So from what I can tell here, this hot in run or start. So this here might possibly be able to be used for some other things that I need to be on with the key. Okay, so this, I just discovered how to solve the neutral position problem. So there's a connector here that was for the range sensor, the DTR sensor, and we have these wires here. These all go to it. The plug's gone on it because I broke it. There's 2 wires in there on an automatic. There's going to be a pink and there's going to be a tan and red. These here, when connected, is what makes the computer know that it is in neutral, and that will allow you to hit the starter and whirl the motor over. So according to what I'm reading online, these here need to be connected through to your clutch pedal, and then when you push your clutch in, it will allow you to start the motor. So that would be nice, and it'll also make it think that it's in neutral. So hopefully that will allow me to use 4 low properly. Okay, so now I have this set up here. This is a ground, this is the neutral sense. This here, apparently this here harness is absolutely obsolete, so I'm gonna cut it back, and that should be about it. So this one here, it's not in any of my diagrams, and it's some sort of sensor, because you can tell by this gray. And I also remember where it was plugged in. It was plugged into the driver's side valve cover. So I'm thinking it's a pressure sensor or something, but I don't think it's needed. I'm gonna take and cut it back over here in a second. I've also went and I put tape and labeled everything. So on the Volkswagen harness here, I've got the airbag system. I know that we're not going to need that, so I'm going to immediately start with this. I'm going to try and siphon all these wires out of this mess, and I think actually it's quite a few of them, and we'll see if we can get that stripped back. I just deleted this. I believe it's speaker wires. We've got 3 colors here all twisted together on this plug here, and they went to all 2 runs out for the doors, so I'm assuming that's what it is, 99% chance. This here is the harness for the throttle control. It is a blue plug and it has a black plug on the other end. You need this. There's one wire on there that needs 12 volts. It is the one that's in my hand there. It's blue and green or something. Yeah, it's blue and green. That needs 12 volts with the key. The rest of the harness you leave intact, and it'll plug into the other side of the harness, and you'll see later how that all looks. Okay, I deleted this here door control module. So basically I tracked down to where it went. I cut it there. A lot of these actually were already cut because they went to the doors. Like, a lot of them did. There was like the red and yellow, those were power fused, and the same with this here red and yellow one, I believe. Anyway, I don't think this is important, so goodbye. So I had a little bit of a confusion going on because I was looking at diagrams and that, and certain things that people were showing and saying and whatever I didn't have. And this prompted me to go back out and look at the motor outside, and I actually found out I only had a part of the harness, that just the inside of the car part. So this here, I guess, is the sensor side or whatever they're calling it, and this has the male or the female ends of these plugs, and it also has the plug for the ECU on it, and it has a relay, and there's another relay box down there, and it has the anti-shutter valve and the EGR valve and a bunch of different things like that on it. So the N75, all that. Mass airflow sitting down there. So this here is really sort of the meat and potatoes of everything. Very important to get this figured out and dialed in. So I've determined on your brown plug here, you can cut this wire with the black jacket on it. That had something to do with the transmission. So that's gone. I've also sort of figured out the relay here for your glow plugs. This here goes to the glow plug harness on the car. This is a constant power that goes onto your fuse box or power distribution box. And this here is, I guess, a constant on, anyway, it goes into this yellow bunch, this place here. I'm not sure if that's switched or constant. And then you have 3 wires here that go back to the ECU. And so I'm just leaving that alone basically because I want it to work as per factory basically. Turn the key on and let it cycle. So that's how that's gonna work. This here's a system here, can pretty well be left alone. I discovered where my blue connector goes in now. So this here is for my fuel pedal. That I believe is actually the map sensor, and the mass airflow sensor is another one that I've got here. Maybe that's this one here. I think that's this one here. Yes, it is. That's what this is. This is the mass airflow sensor, which I'm leaving on my rig here, leaving it stock for all that as far as that goes. So that's it there. I'm gonna leave that basically intact. And I did delete the anti-shutter valve, which was that's the yellow common off of it, and the other wire is this purple one right here. Just straight up purple and gray. That is the anti-shutter valve. That's deleted. Okay, so I have, yeah. Okay, so here's the standalone hardest to date. There may be some slight changes. Anyway, I'm going to start and go right through it. This here is the T14 plug that goes to your engine side of the harness, the small side. I'm powering up these 4 wires. Well, no, I'm powering up 3 of them. This here brown is the ground. This here dark black and purple is switched. This here yellow and black is switched power. This red and purple is constant. Those run down, and I have a splice right here, which has the a few of the other wires that are constant. For example, there's one here that runs over to the OBD2 port, and it's the red and white one here. This here runs over to constant power. Then we have another one coming out of it here. This goes over to my brown block, which powers up the ECU. So this goes straight up there to the ECU plug. Now, this is my cluster of switched wires. They have the 2 we discussed here, and then the blue-green, and we have this purple one, black and purple, which is the wake-up wire right here. Wake up for the ECU. And this here is, I believe, sensors, that comment on the sensors or something. And it's switched as well. Same color, matched the colors. So that's here. These are switched. Coming down the line, this here now plugs into the sensor side of this harness. So I have kept the N75 valve right here. This is the mass airflow sensor. This is the PCV valve. Then we keep going down here. There is a glow plug relay, untouched from how it was factory. I'm not going to really go over that. It's just the way it was. There's 3 wires that go to the ECU. And there's one of these switched wires. And then the 4 wires out to the glow plugs. So there's that. And then coming off here on the black plug, which is mostly cruise and brake controls. So as of right now, I'm not using it. I might in the future. So there it is. Coming over to the ECU plug, I've deleted these things, the ASV valve, the EGR, the coolant heater. Oh yes, there was a plug. I think I showed that actually already. But there's a coolant heater for the manual transmission TDIs, and oh, that's another one for the coolant heater. So I've deleted those, and then I have this wire here which goes out to the manifold pressure sensor. And then this here is my pedal, gas pedal drive-by wire. Everything's untouched except for I spliced in right here onto this blue and yellow wire. Coming out of the ECU plug, there is these twisted orange and black wires that are for the OBD2. So they actually go into the white plug and they come out as a different color. So they go in as orange and brown and orange and black, and they come out as black and white. So you got to just splice these in correctly, color matching them right here with the orange orange pairs that go to the plug there. That's your that's for the signal for that. Then there's what else is there to go into that? There's this red and white wire that I left untouched. It goes from this white plug straight to the OBD. Then there's a K line, which the K line went into something, the dash or whatever before, so I cut it and I ran it from there directly through this plug. Or did I? No, I didn't. The K line actually comes off of this orange plug here. So I ran it from there, spliced it over to this orange plug. We have this now. This here is basically AC controls. There's a vehicle speed sensor on it. There's a tachometer that comes off of it. Not sure if I'm going to end up using any of that. So I use the K line, obviously. And then the other ones here I have left alone. These ones here were dead ends. So There's that. And then as far as going down to this OBD scanner here, you're gonna have a wire here that's black and blue, and I can't find any designation for it at all anywhere in any of my schematics, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just leaving it off for now. Then we already discussed the red and white wire, and then we discussed the white and red wire, and the K-line and the brown wire. The brown wire, there's two of them, those are ground, so they just went over to here, they're gonna be grounded. This here comes off of that relay for the glow plugs, and it's just constant power. And that's pretty much it. Once I get this into the truck and I get everything sitting there, we'll play with it. So how this is gonna be hooked up though, these are going to constant power. They'll be fused accordingly with the wire size. And then I'm not sure what the amperage draw is going to be on this, because I might be able to put it all together instead of having multiple relays. I'm not sure yet. So either way, this is going to be switched with the key. This is going to be constant power, so it's going to be pretty simple to hook this up, really. And then, so that's about it for that. I guess we'll get it into the truck there and see if it does anything. Okay, so I have this whole setup here connected to power, and I got my OBD2 scanner plugged in there, and it is working, and I'm receiving signal from the computer. I have determined that this here doesn't seem to be working. There was actually a trouble code up there saying that there was a problem with this from, I'm assuming, before. And if you actually look at it on like the live monitor, it thinks it's wide open right now. And then when I give it more fuel, it actually goes down, which is kind of weird. As far as the wiring for that goes, I haven't touched any of it, just gave it power. So I'm thinking there's a problem with this, so I'm going to take it apart and clean it and see if that'll fix that up, hopefully. Other than that, we are on the right track, so that's a good sign.